right.
Up to 400,000 people. That's the estimate of how many Vietnamese refugees died trying to cross the ocean in boats after the Vietnam War. My dad and his grandmother were one of the ones who made it. My dad grew up selling newspapers to put food on the table, and he fought anyone tooth and nail who made fun of the clothes he wore from Goodwill. That is the childhood he had. And then there's me. I grew up in the suburbs of Alaska in a very nice neighborhood. I had a roof over my head, food on the table all the time. DS in hand, watching TV all day to my heart's content. However, it needs to be known, I was a very undersized child. At the age of 8, the doctor said I was 15 pounds underweight. I don't know what it was, but you couldn't pay me to eat. I wouldn't eat all day. I would eat like a deviled egg, and that was it. And so I was a very skinny, malnourished looking child. I was fine, but I didn't look okay. And so let me tell you about this lesson that my dad taught me that he learned from a very young age. That there's a lot of scary things in this world, but very few of them can actually kill you. And if you can face your fears and come out on the other side of them, you'll be better because of it. And so, let me tell you about my journey in Taekwondo and how it taught me that lesson. Now, this is how it all started. At the start of the summer of going into the 3rd grade, my dad had enough. He says, Andrew, this is not okay. I'm sick of these Game Boys and you watching TV all day. You got to do something and change. And so that summer when we moved down to Las Vegas, Nevada, he signed me up for Taekwondo lessons. Now, looking back, signing up a little Asian kid for martial arts lessons is a funny choice. But it made sense at the time, trust me. And so I lived and breathed Taekwondo. 3 hours every day, 5 days a week, I was practicing. I ran 3 miles every Saturday at the local track in the dry desert air. And you know what? It was all worth it. I remember one time I told my dad I was too tired to hit the bag too hard. And so, for the next 5 hours, he made me hit the punching bag with my bare fist until my knuckles were dripping with blood. I remember I dislocated my knee one time, and I couldn't feel the bottom half of my leg. And still looking back, I wouldn't change a single thing. Now here's where things get interesting. I remember very clearly, in one of my first state tournaments of Taekwondo, I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning because my dad and I couldn't afford a hotel room for the night before. So we woke up at 5 a.m. and drove all the way to Mesquite in Las Vegas, or in Nevada. And I was so tired, I was nervous. I had to go fight some random kid that I'd never met before, and I was so scared of what would happen. So when I finally get there, my dad goes to the bleachers off somewhere else, and I basically just listen to whatever volunteers at the auditorium tell me what to do. I remember so clearly. There were very bright lights. The whole room was really loud. I couldn't hear my own thoughts. I was sick to my stomach. I had no idea what I was doing. So finally, after half an hour of standing around, I finally get pointed to my match, and I see who my opponent is. I look across the mat, and I see some kid who is a foot taller than me and has at least 50 pounds on me. See, I was still so underweight and undersized that there was no one else in my division to fight, and so that was my opponent. I totally thought this was a joke. This must be some kind of joke that I got to fight this kid. And so I sit down. My coach is trying to tell me some kind of pep talk or strategy of how I'm going to do this. I look to my dad, and I start bawling my eyes out, guys. I'm crying before I even fought. I didn't get hit yet, and I was freaking out. So my dad runs over, right? He comes out of the bleachers, looks me dead in my eyes, and he slaps me in the head right as hard as he can. I swear to God, he hit me. He said something and left. I didn't hear what he said. I was still like flustered. What happened? But before he left, he said, "Did that hurt?" Right? And so after I got hit, I somehow, I end up standing up and the match is about to start. I'm about to fight. And so once the guy says go, right? I closed my eyes and punched this. I lost everything I learned. Like, I knew nothing. I started closing my eyes trying to punch the guy. And so in my confusion, at some point, he gets his foot on my chest and he pushes me. Push kicks me 5 feet across the mat. I tumbled over. Like, it looked pretty bad. And I don't know if you guys have ever been winded before, but when you get winded, everything freezes in your body. Everything just hurts for a second, right? And you don't want to do anything. And you know what? It did hurt. But you know, it also didn't hurt more than when my knuckles were covered in scabs. It didn't hurt more than when I couldn't feel the bottom half of my leg. It definitely didn't hurt more when I was breathing in that dry desert air every Saturday. And at that moment, I realized there was nothing that this person could do to me that I didn't do to myself and my dad did to me. I was scared. I was about to lose this fight before I even gave myself a chance, just because fear was going to overtake my senses. And so, that's what I learned. In life, there's a lot of scary things here. I'm terrified of this speech I'm giving right now. I'm terrified I'll be 5'6" the rest of my life. There's a lot of things I'm scared of in this world. But it's not all that bad. I'm healthy after a year of COVID. I am wearing suede boots and khaki pants right now in Malibu, California, for crying out loud. My life is okay. It's not that bad. I'll never have to flee from a communist government. I'll never have to try to fight for my life growing up in the ghettos. And so that's the lesson my dad taught me at a very young age. It might have been about, physical activity and make myself healthier. But at the end of the day, he taught me that if he can do it, if he survived out of 400,000 or one of the 400,000, his grandmother did it, I can too in this new world that I live in. And I've been given every opportunity to do so. And you know what? Everyone else in this room can too. Because if this four-eyed lunatic who wakes up way too early for this class can do it, so can you.